Happy Sunday, guys. So, John, this is for you as well. You can always sort of use it as an example of how to handle things when it begins to go wrong. So, mentioned in my last video, I've been stopped from posting on Facebook groups, etc., etc. Now, I think possibly some of my videos I've sort of touched on how people are doing videos and sort of using forums as a way to sort of promote products, etc., for money, and are making lots of money. And I think that's probably sort of got lots of people quite worried, and they've decided to sort of take me out of the game, if you like. So earlier today, I found that I couldn't post on any Facebook groups. I did what's it called, request a review, but it just kept going on. So every time I did, there's obviously someone out there just reporting in a group, a large group of people multiply reporting my posts. Went through groups, blocked some people, kept going on. Now, that situation has developed now to a point where on Facebook I can't now even comment on groups or anything like that. I can still read stuff. Now, for the last few years, especially since 2020 lockdown, obviously I used to, when I first started my business, it was very old school because we were in the old school times. So it was sort of phone book, yellow pages, leaflets, the occasional magazine, and a bit of networking. And obviously along came social media when we were all advertising on that, and I have been and doing very well from that as well. Learned how to use it, but obviously the AI now, people have learned how to manipulate the AI and do this sort of thing to others. So you can all expect this, especially people who are just starting out and becoming a threat to established firms and businesses, etc. And they will spend an awful lot of time and effort in trying to take you down. Especially as now we're entering the recession, things are getting worse, so people are sitting there at home, they haven't got as much work on, and they're finding ways of taking others out so they can get more work. It's how their mindset is. Not how mine is. I just work harder at getting jobs in. Now I made sure, for instance, that my business was in the last phone book and the last yellow pages. So anyone who's still got those hanging around the houses and they flick through looking for someone, I'm there. I'm on a few online directories as well. Google, I'm not really very high up on that. So I have actually, I'll be completely honest, probably, and certainly since lockdown, I've been relying on Facebook ads and the odd few leaflets when I do get time, but I've been busy working and not really doing that. So it's been a free ride, if you like, so I'm quite happy. But anyway, so I've been completely taken out of the game. Not just that, I've also been taken, all of my previous posts on groups have been taken down. So literally there's no adverts out there now on Facebook at all. And the thing I get from that now, some of you, John, some of the people you recommend to maybe watch my channel to sort of get tips and stuff, some of you will be fuming. Some of you will be young, you'll want to take the fight to the enemy and go around there, etc. Great, it's only going to lead to trouble. And I'm old enough and wise enough to know that, so that's not always the way. However, yeah, I'm annoyed, but what I take from it is they must have spent a fortune doing this, and an awful lot of time and an awful lot of resources that they could have been using to build their businesses. So I'm quite kind of flattered in a way that I'm that much of a threat to people, just a one-man band painter. Why? I don't even employ people anymore. I'll tell some stories about that another time. I'll carry on telling stories because I think it's quite nice and helpful for you. So anyway, so completely taken out of the game. So there's no adverts online, nothing. So if you search on Facebook for, I don't know, painter in Ipswich, I'm not going to come up on Facebook at all. Is it a good thing? Maybe. We've been talking, haven't we, about some of the toxic people I've been coming up from, some of the messages I've got from people. It has been getting increasingly awkward with people, so maybe it's not a great platform anymore. So what do? I'm back on the street, as it were, as we used to say 20 odd years ago, or even 30 years ago, you know. Right, well, I still have some leaflets and quite happy with that. So I need to, so I look at the positives. So I'm now booked into kind of really first, second week of May, or am I? Because I've got that other job that could mess me up a bit. But even so, I'd treat that as a bonus because I could go out and advertise, couldn't I, and get back on the street and deliver my leaflets. And you can get leaflets cheaply online. Loads of places. You can design them online, you can use templates, you can go to a printers, and you can get them cheaply. You can get for kind of like £100, you can get 5,000 leaflets. Great, a lot of money to some of you though, if you're struggling, but luckily I'm in a good position with that, so that's not too bad, but worth doing. And certainly kind of, God, what, 10 years ago, I did sort of hit a bit of a flaw. If you remember, I was going through that problems with that idiot at that site, and obviously what I do with that, and this is what I'll do again. When I was working for him and building up, I would do things like half an hour before work, half an hour after work, I would go out and do a leaflet job. So I'd do leaflet jobs. So as I'm driving up there, I'd see little housing estate and I'd start, and I'd sort of just over the course of a week cover the whole estate with leaflets, and you'd get jobs in from that and quotes. So kind of I was finding it's normally about 1%. So sort of every 100 leaflets I did, I'd get a lead. So I was getting probably 2 or 3 quotes a week from that, from just doing that, just half an hour before and at the end of work. It's an hour of my day though, each day, isn't it? But that's what I'll do. Because some of you would be fuming and you'd be like, oh, I am. But I'm taking that, sorry, I'm taking that aggression and energy and I'm directing it in the right place, which is right now, I'm not kind of going to go broke because I'm booked up. And if this other job went wrong, then I'd ramp up my leaflets like anything, obviously I would. But at the moment, kind of what? Probably, yeah, like I say, good 6 weeks, maybe 7 ahead. So I haven't got to worry. I've got enough income coming in. And literally it is just a case of back out there. I've actually already got leaflets, but I can get some more done if needed. And then just start half an hour before and after work. Do it. Quite nice as well, because I've been getting a bit not quite happy with the amount of weight I put on. I'm probably about a good stone and a half, maybe even 2 stone overweight possibly. And I think I am really for my age. So that will help me to lose weight. So I'll be doing an hour's extra walk a day, hopefully not too knackering, and just so it all has a blessing. So you kind of you treat these things as a, so initially it's like and all of that, calmed it down, gave myself a talking to, bounced off my son as well actually, and kind of we had a bit of a joke about it, and sort of, you know, back on the street and all of that. And he was like, but we're not, Dad, we've got all of this now. And I'm like, yeah, it's not 10 years ago, Stan. You know, 10 years ago I quite literally would have been at one point out, and I can remember it clearly. One day I just he was about 6 months old. His mum was still recovering from her C-section and nearly died during childbirth, and kind of quite struggling quite a bit and not really able to work. Didn't have a lot of money in my pocket either, and kind of literally she'd asked for some money for whatever she needed. I'd freely given it to her, and she saw that was the last of my money. She was like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, don't worry. And you leave the house and you think, I've got no money in my pocket. I've got half a tank of fuel, I need to do something. And literally I spent 2 days doing leaflets. It was shattering. But you know, something always comes along. I remember I did it on a hot day, thinking I really need a drink. Why didn't I bring some water? And all of a sudden I'm walking on the street and I saw a pound that someone had dropped, and I was that there. Normally I'd kind of, you'd hand it in or you'd put it in a charity box, and I didn't. I literally, there was a little corner shop, went in there, bought myself a bottle of water, drank it gratefully, obviously, and bought another one to carry with me because I think they're 50p each or something. So something will always come along, do you know what I mean? You just got to be a bit of luck, a bit of hard work and perseverance, and that's what this is about. So those people who spent all this time, money and resources in literally trying to ruin my business, yeah, they haven't. They've done me a favour, because Facebook advertising was getting increasingly toxic, and I probably will go back to it once if I can, possibly, because it's nice to have an online presence. But kind of that was taking up to an hour a week to do actually, and I'm thinking maybe maybe it's time to move on with advertising and go back to some of the old ways, because the old ways do actually work for getting work in. They do around here. I mean, if you're in a big city, London, Cambridge, I was there recently, as you know, if you've seen my video, maybe not work as much, but here it will. So yeah, that's literally what you do. But yeah, some of you would be getting really angry, you'd be fuming, you'd be threatening people, you'd be wanting to go around the houses. Yeah, I get you. I feel it. I feel that anger. But channel it in the right ways when you're working like this. Because obviously, when I first started out, this section of my self-employment, throughout my life, I've had different sections of employment and work and business and stuff like that. So kind of this section of my life, obviously, I'd sort of, after Stan was born, I'd sort of set out a little goal, which was really, essentially, it's to give him the opportunity to make the choices that he wants to make. I didn't always have that. I didn't always have the chance to make choices. Got lucky at times and found something I was good at and I quite enjoyed in what I do. But it's good to give young people the opportunity to make the choices they want to make. If he wants to follow me into doing what we're doing and he's good at what he does, then he can. He may want to develop that into another direction. He may want to do a lot of commercial work or whatever. He may want to go down through into an academic career. But he will have the opportunity to make that choice for himself, which not a lot of us did, and not a lot of you did have that chance. So that's kind of like the essential goal is still there. I've set some time today to set some other goals, which I'll be working through on, possibly having meetings about, just learning some of the stuff I've done. And I think sort of sometimes I watch a lot of sort of like businessy type stuff, and I read a lot of sort of business books and stuff, but I don't always use their words. I put it into my own words. So yeah, and that's basically what I'm doing. I'm kind of out of this ridiculousness. I'm just building back better, as they said once in the government. And there's nothing to build back because I'm not taking out the game. I still have the work on, it's still booked in, still should all go ahead. If there's any problems, I'll deal with those as I go. But for now, leafleting, maybe look at sort of some of these freebie magazines that are coming through the door, advertising, but there's a lot of them, so you've got to be careful. And do I really want to work in my immediate local area, or do I want to work in, say, further into Ipswich? What sort of customers am I looking for? What sort of demographic am I looking for? I've got all of that to go. But the main thing is let's get this advertising going, and let's get that funnel, because advertising's like a funnel. You pour it all in and it comes down. Oh yeah, Sprite t-shirt. And it comes down in a little funnel. So you're pouring lots in, and it's a drip, 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 drip. You've got to keep pouring in to get that drip, 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 drip coming down. And that's kind of, I think probably, I relied too much on social media and Facebook. So time to move on. Obviously, hopefully I can get back there once it gets sorted out. If it doesn't, then I'll have a much better way of advertising. And that's kind of what you do when you're self-employed. And it goes for all trades and what you're doing. Plumbers, Tom, you're a plumber. You're not going to struggle as much as anybody else to get work, because everybody needs a plumber, I'm assuming. Like they're all going to need their taps changed, their radiators done, they're going to have boilers need servicing and stuff. Whereas painting's a bit different, really, sometimes. But there's still the work out there to do. People are still going to want us. They're still going to want. I get a lot of hall stairs landing because people don't want to do that. Don't want to do that themselves. So just be prepared and just be ready. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it will all be fine. It wouldn't be fine if I lost my head. Do you know what I mean? And for a minute there or two, and it's okay to be like that. It's okay to kind of be like because for a minute or two you are. Now, if I was in front of a customer and that happens to me, I'll just go okay. And I actually remember it was those biscuit people again. Actually, now something had happened with them. I can't remember what. That's it. The woman was just coming out with all this stuff. It was on that same job, leading up to me leaving, and she was just coming out with all this stuff and nonsense. And in the end, I just went, "I'm really sorry. I need a 10-minute break. I'm getting overwhelmed here." And just the guy looked quite shocked. I was like, "Oh my god," you know. And I kind of just walked out. I said, "I just need 10 minutes break," and I just walked out, went outside. I'm a smoker. I might actually give up. But I'm a smoker, so I just went outside, had a quiet cigarette, had a sip of my coffee, which I had in my van. I had a little flask of coffee, and just went, what the, and just went back in. And obviously, I kind of actually the next day was when the biscuit thing happened. So kind of you do get like that, but it's about how you deal with it. So at home, while I'm dealing with that, I was like, Stan wanted my attention. Sorry, Stan, I'm just dealing with something in my head right now. I'll explain in a minute. Just give me 5 minutes. And my head's going like that, and just kind of came back in and said, right, this is what's happened. Did it in child's terms. Okay, yeah, Dad, we're not back on the street, are we? No, not at all. We've got work ahead, good times ahead. We're all absolutely fine. Just what would happen if I did nothing, I'd fall off a cliff in May, wouldn't I? I just wouldn't have any work booked in. I'd be like, oh, I've got no work and I can't advertise on Facebook. I'd have done that to myself. So I've got, lots of time to build up a good routine of advertising. Stan might help with some leaflets at times, and just kind of slowly but surely we build it up and we get through. And that's what you've got to do when you're self-employed. It's pointless losing your head and getting stressed. And if you are, there's people out there. Do you know what? Hey, send me a message. If you want to have a chat on the phone, send me a message. Somehow we'll hook up. The main thing is just keep calm. Don't lose your head and just make a plan. Some of you, that would just kill you off. I've known extremes, and this isn't something I've not seen before. I had another self-employed guy who actually said, what was his name? Bradley. Nice enough guy, actually. He does painting. I think he does a few other bits. Sort of spoken to him a couple of times, have a little laugh and a joke with him about G-Unit and stuff like that. And just one day on Facebook, someone had actually posted this whole load of stuff about him and gone, what do you make of him, blah blah blah. And I just made a joke when I heard he's in G-Unit. It's an old rap thing with 50 Cent in it, and just kind of, it just took the sting out of the tail for him. And just people, these idiots are out there, and they're just bored, and they just sit there and they just but on my occasion, this would have cost them a fortune to do. Quite a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of just working out. And I just think, quite flattered, guys, I'm that much of a threat to you. And just also check yourselves, because I know you'll be looking at this, and check yourselves. I'm a one-man band painter. I live in a 2-bed semi in the suburbs. I have a 16-year-old van. I operate from a small lockup. I don't particularly, I'm of no threat to you whatsoever, but I'm chuffed that you think I am, and that you've spent all this time and money doing this, because, guys, yeah, it's bizarre, but might be a good thing. That I'm not a Facebook advertising, and kind of, because also I can now choose the areas I live in as well. That's the other thing with what you do with leaflets and advertising. I can kind of choose the area, can't I? So if I like next week I'm working in a couple of villages, nice villages, I'll advertise. I find a couple of the smaller towns around here, the people have gone a bit strange with what they do, so I won't advertise there, and I can go for little local magazines, and I can try things, and I'm going to enjoy trying different things with advertising, but making sure essentially I've still got that funnel working. So I've still got stuff, because when you're advertising, you're putting stuff into the top of the funnel, it's coming down. I've got the skill set there, I'm good at what I do, so really it's a case of just making sure that I can get the two together and do it that way. So nice and simple, isn't it? But but some of you guys, especially when you're young and whatever, and you've come from a certain background, you're going to kick off. But like I say, also, guys, you're talking to the guy who kind of left a care home at the age of 15, just turning 16, with nothing. So kind of, again, like compared to other people my age who are in the industry I'm in, might not be doing very well materialistically, but for where I came from, it's a miracle to find what I've got. Do you know what I mean? Stable house, young son, 2-bed semi, 16-year-old van. The car's 12. How old is the car? Oh, it's a 12-year-old car, but it's actually quite nice. And of course, we don't owe any money to anybody, so we're quite, For me, from where I came from, leaving a care home initially on the street, doing a little YTS, etc., and just painting and just surviving, for me, it's beyond what I could have ever expected. So some of you guys, you're coming. I think I'm talking to people from the same background as me. For some of you guys, if I can do it, anybody can, because and it's there. You've just got to graft hard, but you've got to get your head right. So with this, yeah, and like I say, in my mid to late 20s, man, do you know what? I used to do a lot of kickboxing, a lot of boxing, and yeah, there's people who still remember me from those days and have a beef with me who occasionally want to start something up, and I'm just like, nah, you're alright, just going to move on. But I was in Bosnia a while ago. I love Bosnia, my kind of place. Anyway, I was sat in a sauna with this guy, and he was quite a big guy like me, and we were chatting and everything, and he was like, oh, you look like a Chelsea fan. I'm like, where I come from, mate, that's just, yeah. So actually Ipswich, but said I'm not actually. I said actually I'm Colchester, but my son supported Ipswich, and so kind of he wants to go to some matches, so I have to go with him because you can't send a child on his own. So that's why I'm seeing the Ipswich matches now. But yeah, anyway, and he was yeah. He said I said obviously I've got kind of. He was talking about football ultras and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I've never really been into any of that. I said, but if someone wanted to mix it up, I'm sure I could still. And I was like, I might be old and I might be big. And he was like, no, mate. He said, I can tell by how you carry yourself and how your eyes are and how you're talking. He said, if someone wants to start, he said, you've still got it. And that's the thing. But do I need it? No, not anymore. I've got nothing to prove. Never have really. I'm just a guy who just. But for some reason, people get jealous of that success. They don't want anyone to even go on the path to success. Again, there's another local businessman here. Locally, I won't name him because he's quite not dangerous, I would say, but he's just odd. And huge, great business. But he didn't build it himself. His dad did, and he took it over. Now, obviously, that might be Stan one day, but he won't have been taught the way I teach the way this guy acts. And this guy literally doesn't want anyone else to succeed. He just wants his business. Anyone else who tries to start up in the same business, he goes all out, takes them down, offers them a job, gives them a good living, don't get me wrong, but what's all that about? Because I'd be chuffed if someone watched these videos and contacted me in 10 years' time to say, man, I just started out and I'm now where I'm at. I'd be like, mate, I'm made up for you. And I really am when people do well, and that's kind of what it's about. It's about encouraging each other along, because we're never not on this earth for long. So yeah, it seems all a bit pointless. But as Bob Marley said, what was that Bob Marley song? One Love, is it? Anyway, well, that's not Babylon. But hopefully that gives some of you that check, because I think if this is happening to me, I'm fairly sure it's happening to others, especially newbies starting out, and you're going to get your trolls and stuff, so just be very careful. I'm sorry it's a long video, but I think it genuinely might help some of you.